Today on The Riff, Jeremy and Justin sit down and discuss 4 different ways of thinking. Scientist, sports fan, attorney, zealot. I can't wait to find out what I am. It's like taking the Disney Princess test, but better. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff. Justin, you doing all right? You got some head bobs going on.
Well, I ask you every time. Like, there's a beep that starts our recording.
Yeah.
And you usually start on the beep. And so it's like, well, so I just always ask, will you just wait a little bit? And you never do. And you did today. And that's why I'm shaking my head.
I did wait.
You
today.
did.
Yeah, thank you.
That's why I'm shaking my head.
Well, you gave me real-time feedback, and I appreciate that. That is a core value.
Yeah. That's constant.
Yeah.
And never-ending improvement.
Can I?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, Justin, we survived Easter.
We did it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming we did.
Yeah, we're recording this right before that.
Because of Easter. We're not going to record this the Sunday night of Easter because that would be... So can we just pretend that we know what happened on Easter?
Yeah. I didn't think that was going to happen, what happened on stage.
No, because I went shopping for an Easter shirt, couldn't find any, and then didn't wear one.
I know.
And I thought, because in my mind, I've been thinking I'll have my Easter shirt there. Didn't even think about it in the hustle and the bustle of Easter morning that I didn't have a shirt show up there.
And then...
boy, did I feel awkward.
Just a mic only. I know.
Yeah. And did I? Yeah. I was freezing.
I know.
Freezing.
Well, I couldn't believe how cold it was.
No. Yeah.
That was a shock too.
Yeah.
Weathermen didn't see that.
Well, and what's also odd is our facilities team anticipated there to be a lot of people there at Easter, so they had the AC cranking. We didn't know that no one would show up. We had the lowest attendance. This rivaled Father's Day attendance because of the weather, right? The weather. And so,
yeah, the weather
so
was
there
crazy.
I was, lonely and chilly.
Just unbelievable. What a crazy Easter.
I hope that's not the case.
I don't think
But
it
if
will
it
be.
is,
whatever.
Yeah.
It's great.
it's great. So let's talk about Easter tradition though for you. Are you a egg hunt person? Are your girls? Well,
No, we're not an egg hunt family. I just
is
realized
it
that.
biblical reasons?
Yeah, that
cultural
it's
reasons?
not biblical. So
no,
every time they get those eggs out, I yell at them. Like, tell me, I ask them, I say, show me the scripture. That's what I say. Which I use the Bible a lot to
No, that's good.
to reprimand my children.
That's good.
Yeah,
man.
it's just a...
grew up on some of those values. Yeah, that's awesome.
No, we're not an egg family.
Is it because of the cost of eggs this year?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's not because of the cost, but looking at it, I'm happy.
Did you even notice the cost of plastic eggs this year compared to last year?
No.
It's tariffs, right?
Well, yeah. Well, they all come from Canada, right?
Yeah.
I can tell.
I'll tell you that in Greenland.
In Greenland.
But they're just giving it to us right now. They're just giving it to us. So,
We're not
so what do you do for Easter?
We are a big candy family on that one.
Okay.
A lot of chocolates.
Like Hollow Bunny. What do you do?
Okay, I think we've had this discussion before, and please don't ever bring up a Hollow Bunny again. I think we've talked about this because you eat from the tail first, which is very weird. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go ear
Sneak
first.
attack.
Yeah, don't. It's got to be solid.
Okay.
Oh, you say okay like that, like you don't agree.
Well, those are more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, mister, I don't buy eggs because of Greenland's tariffs, and now you're just gonna float your money
What's
with
the worst? It's the worst thing when you open the package and then you bite into the bunny, and it's hollow. And not only have you just bitten into the bunny thinking that you were going to get a mouthful of chocolate, you just got a little bit of like shavings.
Yeah.
Now part of the bunny has been cracked. Some of it fell. So now you got chocolate all over yourself. You look like a fool, honestly, when you're eating one of these things.
Okay. Yeah.
But when you got solid, you can just gnaw on that thing.
Yeah, but not all of us have the money to shop at Russell Stover. I'm a Walmart Easter guy, right?
Are you an egg family? Do you hide eggs?
Nah.
Did you hide eggs when
We
they
did.
were
We used
little?
to. Yeah. When I was growing up, yes. For the girls, yes. What we would do is flashlight hunts. So we would wake them up the middle of night, right before Easter, right? That night, Saturday night. And then we would give them a flashlight in their basket, and then they would have to go, no lights on the house, and they have to go and find the eggs. So that's pretty fun.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can start that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Jamie will love it.
Oh yeah. So, Easter. I love Easter. A little later this year, next year. Here's what I found out. Next year, Easter is on my birthday.
What?
Jesus coming out of the tomb, Jeremy coming out of the womb, all one day, big celebration. So that's going to be a good one.
That's a shirt if I've ever seen one.
Well, I could use a shirt.
And that'll be...
My fears come true.
How old will you be on that birthday? I feel like it's a big one.
No, that's a year from now.
I just feel like it's a big one. I didn't know that this is a celebration. That's going to be a big day.
Epic. It's going to be epic. It's going to be a semi-centennial. Yeah, it's crazy.
Out of the tomb, out of the womb?
Yeah. Yeah, we both hopped to it. So, anyway, hey, we're recording a podcast, and I feel like we owe those who still are listening, we owe them some type of content.
All right, okay. Or was that not it? That 5 minute section?
Time? Oh,
do you think most people just skip to minute 7?
I thought that would take a lot longer than it did. Yeah. No, I usually shut it off at minute 7. Yeah. So, because I need some more levity.
Let's get to the actual stuff we're going to talk about. You brought up a book you're reading. You brought up 4 different types of people. I thought it was super fascinating.
Okay.
And we're going to have a discussion on it. We're going to riff on it.
Okay, let's riff on it. So there's a book by the author named Tim Urban.
Okay.
Tim Urban is a bloggist.
I think it's a blogger. I don't know if it's a bloggist.
Really?
It's a blogger.
Blogotomist?
I think it's a blogotomist.
Blogotomist, yeah. And he wrote a book called What's Wrong With Us? And it's a 500-page thick book. So I recommend it. You didn't have
to say that.
Oh, no, I'm saying that. I'm recommending it because it is a show-off type of book. Like you saw it on my desk. Did the size of that book make you feel like, dude, Jeremy's smarter than I thought?
Well, the way that you had it like presented, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have it like up, like as you walk in, you have a pen next to it, paper, like
arrows.
Yeah, like it's kind of... It's hard to miss.
Well, here's the beauty about the book. It makes you feel smart for just carrying it around. But there's so many pictures in this book. It's the best thing ever. He draws. So he has all these cartoons to illustrate his thoughts. And so it's like, it's thicker than an Archie's comic.
Okay.
And it's about the same amount of comics. So, I love it. So in this book, his whole idea is to express 4 different ways that we think. And so I want to walk through that. It's been fascinating to me. I've taught it in a couple settings just because I feel like it's such a great metaphor and gives us handles to be able to just check ourselves and how do we show up to a conversation? How do we show up to decision making? How do we show up to conflict? And this could impact our politics, impact our faith, impact so many things. So I'm going to give us the 4, and then we could kind of bounce around how they show up. So 1, here's this whole idea that a moth tends to be drawn to, do you know what they're drawn to?
Flame.
Yes, flame. And what else?
Light.
100%. So if you have like a street light, you'll see, I don't know how moths get in there, but they figure out a way, right? So they're in there.
I have never thought of that. There's a ton of bugs inside of those lights.
How?
I don't know. That is...
Well, that's not what the book's about.
Well, I'm going to stay up all night on this one.
Yeah. So, but what the book is about is this fascination of why do moths, bugs, insects, because when I was growing up, we had a zapper, zip, and I know that's not cool. So I'm not endorsing those. But why do those work? Because his idea is there's this primal desire from a moth to approach the moon, meaning to fly. And so at night, when these bugs come out, when these insects come out, when these moths come out, they are drawn to fly because of the light of the sky. And moths have not yet developed this shift in thinking that lights are bad. So they don't know that man has all these man-made moons out there that are dangerous. And so they go to light. So it's just, and he uses this as an example to talk about how here's one thing in nature that has not developed this ability to adjust to the culture around us. And he takes this and he talks about this primal nature. This primal nature is to do the things that we were created to do back at the beginning of creation, right? The beginning of societies. And so he talks about how humanity, back in the very beginning, for most of humanity, if you look at it, most of humanity is this sense of we've got to gather, we've got to hunt, we've got to protect, we've got to fight. And so that's the primal nature of humans. And you look at any recorded history, and the Bible is not void of it, that early civilizations are always on the hunt, always defending, always it's kill or be killed. It's a primal way of living. And then as we develop our ability to think and to reason, as a society and community, we begin to make decisions that benefit more than just ourselves. So we elevate a higher level of thinking. So not more intelligence, but more collective reasoning. So anyway, so that's the backstory of it, or the context of it. He says our thinking, our decision-making, our thought process, and our reasoning, there's 4 levels. The highest level would be that of a scientist. A scientist would go into any challenge, any problem, be excited about the data and say, okay, let me wrestle with this puzzle piece and then help this expand my knowledge. So you got a scientist. A little bit lower down on that scale, the rung down would be that of a fan. Like, okay, I'm still attached to my original way of thinking. It would take a lot for me to change my mind. I can, but it would take a lot because I'm attached to it.
It would take like Luka Leven, right? The Mavericks.
Oh my word. Yeah. Like, it'd be a great deal. At first you're like, that's a pretty good trade. We got Anthony Davis, right? And he's good. The only difference is 5 points a game and he's a better defender.
Nope.
And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, he's hurt all the time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So Luka Leven. So then you go to a lower level would be attorney. And his use of the image of an attorney is that attorney is not in trial, is not trying to discover facts. They're trying to present the facts in a way that helps their case. And then you go to the 4th level, which is a zealot. Facts don't even matter. It's just whose side am I on? Whose side are you on? If you're not on my side, you're the devil. So talks about these 4 levels. So I want to bounce through these 4 levels and talk about what are ways we think about them with the goal of let's enter our politics, let's enter our faith, let's enter our views on parenting, our views on finances, all the things we think about. Let's reason with the mentality of that highest level of thinking, which would be an attorney. Not an attorney. That would be a scientist. So scientist, let's think about this in the light of, let's pick on the topic of politics, okay, and policies. If you're a scientist, how can that, and you're committed to saying, I want to know what's right, what's true, new pieces of data are like puzzle pieces that I need to put together. How does that look? Like, let's talk about that a little bit. What would that look like when it comes to policies?
I think that there's an extreme curiosity that would have to be inside of a personality like that.
Yeah.
And when you talk about politics, I think I might be apolitical at this point.
Really?
I feel like I'm really misinformed, and I feel like I'm really in the dark on a lot of things.
Okay.
I can't. Yeah, I don't read a lot when it comes to politics or policy right now, and I don't know what that is. It's definitely not a scientific mind right now. So
really?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of like even just my own mind. Where do I fall in those categories? I don't know. Like, what if I'm indifferent? Where does it fall in those 4? It's horrible to say, but where would that fall when you're talking about those 4 things? To where when I've seen this over and over and over, I'm like, oh, I just don't know.
Yeah, and that would be true with a lot of people's perspective of faith as well.
Yes.
Right? Whether they're jaded, disappointed, disillusioned, and now they're like, I'm not that, but I'd just rather just punt on that topic, right?
Yeah.
I would think that's more of a disappointed fan, right? Maybe. in the sense of like, I don't know. It really doesn't matter, right? I would think of if you're a Raiders fan, not trying to pick on them, but like, you're not passionate about the playoffs. You're like, whatever. I don't even know if that impacts us, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what that is.
Yeah, it feels like me in baseball right now.
Okay.
Like, do I like baseball? Nah.
Yeah.
Like, do I hate it? Nah. Will I watch the World Series? Sure.
Does it come from, did you used to be a fan, or that's just an area you've never cared?
It's just kind of an indifferent, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. And that's kind of what I feel like with politics right now, because I think I don't see a lot of scientists in the field. I don't know if I when I watch it, it's an inspiring element to me to where I'm like, man, they are really just trying to figure this out. Like they have these open arm, open hand policy things of like what's best for the people. Like I don't get that vibe. And it's not to say like in the last 8 years, I don't think I've ever gotten that vibe just from politics. And then when you put that in like a juxtaposition of like scripture, like there's definitely empire and shalom where I'm like, what are we building? Like, anyway. So I think that in the area of politics, I think it's really attractive to have a scientific mind. And I think right now you have a lot of zealous minds of this is it. This is the way it has to be. This is this is it. This is what's best. And then you have the other side of the table that says the exact same thing where it's like, there's probably something in the middle that would help people more. Maybe. I don't know. What about you? When you look at that.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting is when you could see a vote. And again, this is, I'm not passionate what side of the voting table someone would be on. And I'm not thinking of any specific issue, but on most issues, when you get to a vote of the House, it's going to be split, and it's newsworthy when someone of a party votes against. As a matter of fact, that becomes a strategy. Can I get 4 people from the other party to walk away from their party on this issue? Mm-hmm. And so really when we think about it, maybe there's some real strong convictions that really shape the parties, right? And there's some big topics. But there could be topics that don't seem to be like life-altering core conviction topics. How are they still split based on party? That's zealot thinking. Mm. Zealot thinking is my party's right. Everything we believe in, everyone in my party believes in the same way, and everyone who opposes us is wrong. So watching a State of the Union address, no matter when you do it, no matter who's the president, zealot thinking would be half the room stands up and claps and interrupts the message like 20 times, way more than that. And a lot of times you're like, it's not even worthy of interruption, but it's just, that's what we do because we're all like loud, proud, and the other half has to not just sit there, but roll their eyes. And that could go both parties. And I was thinking the last time I saw this, I was thinking, I wonder what it would look like for a president to share something that everybody in the room just kind of shook their heads, smiled, and been like, dang, I believe that. And everybody in the room stands up and is like, man, that's right, because that's a human issue, and you're thinking about it. We're thinking about it like scientists. Yeah. Like, man, what you're saying is a big deal. So what this book was talking about is we tend to resort during conflict back to primal thought, like kill or be killed. My way is the best way. Church, we do the same thing. And so we've got to think, what would it look like for someone to rise above this, to share something, and then to give ourselves permission to, me agreeing with you doesn't mean I endorse everything you say, but I agree with what you just said. And so one of the things on politics is interesting. He talks about the Great Awakening, and on that, his whole idea is, that both sides could be fundamental, whether it's progressive or conservative. Conservatives definitely could be fundamental. That's kind of what they're known for. And it's what I think a self-label would be. Fundamentalists always this way, conservatives. But he says even progressives who go against fundamentalism could be fundamentally progressive, that you can never go. And so both sides can be polarizing. And we need to realize that wherever we tend to be, the extreme could be this primal thought of zealots. It's all my way or nothing. So
that is so fascinating.
Yeah.
There was a book that you led me to, Same as Ever. That's Housel. He's the guy that did Psychology of Money. And he talks a lot about this. Like when you talk about a president that stands up, says something that everyone agrees with, he talks about how calm is the seeds to chaos.
Okay.
And when you get into this space of chaos, we then migrate back to that primal tribal element to where it's way easier to agree because you all have a common enemy.
Yes.
That he brings up like World War II. He brings up 9/11. He brings up all of these moments that are momentous within like an American history viewpoint or lens to where not everybody is like, yeah, but it was a much stronger vibe of togetherness because we all are impacted by X, Y, or Z. So it's just fascinating. Like, yeah. It's an interesting conversation on that. So when you are a scientist or when you are a zealot, probably depends also on the surroundings that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think faith, here's how it showed up to me is sometimes I could take anything from a doctrinal statement to a traditional belief. And instead of looking for data to weigh it, or opening my eyes when data appears to consider it, you just block it out. For example, I don't know if this is most people's experience, but it used to be fairly common for people to have to choose science or faith. Which one? And everyone close your ears when it comes to science class, because whatever they're going to share is a direct conflict to your faith. And that was kind of a culture, a Christian culture for many years. Probably it's more of a subculture within Christianity now, but it still exists. And what's kind of growing now more normative and more healthy, I believe, is when people say, okay, hey, science and faith they're not opposites, right? Faith is the study of the who. It sets this in motion, and the science might be a study of how, and they don't have to be a conflict. So, and to just lower the guard, think about it. But it could be a big deal in just our business. Like if I'm thinking like a fan, all of a sudden now I'm like, when there's criticism, it's easy for me to be like, well, they just don't get it, right? I don't need to consider this data because I know we're good. I know what we meant. Or an attorney like, no, I can give you 3 reasons why I'm right instead of just being wildly curious.
So how do you? I think that like leading organizationally and parenting are pretty much, they're like 98% the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is the same in those two arenas, at least in my brain. So how do you get into a space that is scientific, but you also have like a strong leadership backbone of this is the direction that we're going, right? I'm the leader or I'm the parent, but also being open and curious to the data and the conversations at hand. How do you have those in the same space?
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to leading through change, there's 3 approaches. There's probably way more, but there's 3 approaches that I think through. There's command leadership, like whatever I say goes. It's command leadership. I think military. There's consensus leadership, which is let's take a vote, and if this seems like most people in the organization feel this way, or most leaders feel this way, let's do it. And that's consensus. And then the third one is collaboration, which is I want to have as many portals of input as possible, but then make a decision. And so I tend to be a collaborative leader. I don't like to do votes. Anytime I feel like we're making a vote, or even because I like to have collaboration. I like to have a lot of discussion. But if it ever feels like someone says, well, I say we do this and I vote we do this, I get very sensitive to those words because I want to be like, it's not a vote. Like ultimately it doesn't come down to, for decisions, we don't say at North Point, okay, everybody on staff gets a vote and we're going to decide this for service times for Easter. I'm like, well, let's consider all the advantages and perspectives, but then as a leader, you just got to make a decision. And so I think that command, consensus, collaboration, I I think collaboration, command is more that primal, like this is the way, I just believe in me and you guys should believe in me too. Consensus is more like, like that fan deal. And I just think the collaboration is more, let's listen, but then let's make a decision. Mm-hmm. As a parent, I want to be collaboration. I remember early on, I was more command, like, hey, this is what the book said. This is what we're going to, whatever parenting book was popular at the time, we read this is what we're going to do. But you're not even considering your kid's needs. You're not considering that maybe my kid, I'm trying to get him to sleep through the night, and these are the 7 ways to do that, and I'm not considering what else might be going on. So just considering it, and then as a parent, not giving the kids, my kids didn't always have a vote. There were some things they had a vote in, but they always had a voice. So they always have a voice, not always have a vote. Figure out what that is.
That's been very helpful for me.
Well, what does that look like for you guys?
100% collaborative when we are parenting.
Yeah.
Like it's an easy element for my brain.
Some would say that's soft.
Yeah.
That 100%. You would ask your kids an opinion. What kind of things do you ask your kids?
Everything. Everything, right? Which is so funny to me because I feel like I'm moving in that direction and have been for years, but that is not how I work.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm command first, like in my brain. I'm just like, let's get it done. Let's go.
Well,
this
a lot of,
what we're gonna do.
What do you think shapes that? Because I got opinions on it.
I don't know. I mean, my upbringing for sure.
I mean, I think even one of your jobs that you had for years before this is you're up on high places putting in rigs.
Right.
That's not a
it's not like
fuzzy.
What do you hate?
This is dangerous.
Like,
do
this is what you're doing. This is what we're doing.
There's a reason the military does it the way they do it.
Right. So I definitely come from that background when it comes to a work environment. But I've seen the benefit of collaboration and I have seen the benefit of those pieces. And I feel like I've gotten better in those. I definitely still have gaps up to where I'm like, I missed that. I didn't even ask for their input or a voice. Like I'm not looking for your vote, but I want you to be a part of the process because you're part of the process. And for parenting, for some reason, it's an easier process for me to go through it and it's more natural. And it's because I have a wife that just lives that out as well in our relationship as well, right? So that's been an easy thing to then give to our kiddos. But I don't see it as a soft approach to that because we still parent strong and we still have the principles that we are going to move forward. But I want the kiddos to learn like the why behind those principles and not just the what of those principles. Because when they leave the home, those principles will not be their principles. Yeah. Like they won't. It's just impossible. If they learn the why, they might attach to some of those principles. And I hope that they have their own principles as they form their families and all that. My prayer is just that some of our principles were able to put a foundation and a pedestal for theirs to where they have a sandbox to play in and they're not having to A, draw within the lines perfectly, or B, just have this like, I don't know, man. Mom and dad just said, whatever goes, goes, man. Like there's a middle ground of that, right? So there's boundaries to put in play, but it's also a sandbox for them to like create on their own and figure out life because we won't be here forever. So I don't know. I mean, I do know that's probably why I have two different pieces to me when it comes to work and when it comes to family of how I handle those situations. But I've seen the benefit of collaboration and I've seen like you lead in ways that have been like, oh, that's very attractive. And it also gets deeper buy-in from everybody on the team because everybody feels heard and is heard, even though they're not at a table casting a ballot of like the carpet will be blue.
Right.
I say yes. Yeah. So I really have enjoyed learning that from you of figuring those pieces out because it stretched me because that's definitely not where I naturally land.
Yeah. I think I naturally land on the consensus side. It would be, my thought is like, hey, let's all vote and cool. Because now the majority of people are happy. And so I could tend to go towards that deal. I also realize that's not strong leadership. And strong leadership is not loud leadership all the time.
Right.
But, so I think that's important is one, I would say this, whether it's a parenting situation, work situation, faith situation, trust your perspective, right? You have a perspective and then feed your perspective with other perspectives. But then ultimately, weigh it out, and then trust that your perspective is now better because you've heard others. And don't be afraid to make your decision on faith, on politics, that might be different than the tribe around you. It might be reinforced when you have other conversations, and that's cool. It might be altered when you have other conversations, and that's cool. But trust your perspective, invite other perspectives, and I think we reason better. We make better decisions. That's when progress in a community is made, is we're not smarter today. We've had so much more advances in medicine and in technology in the last 100 years than the previous 3,000 years. And it's not because today's person is smarter, it's because it's shared perspectives that we have with books and we have with online that now we can go further faster. We can do that in any area of our life. And so what area of our life do we tend to push back from input, from insight? What areas do we tend to be loud and unkind? And we should let that be a red flag. That's not. And Jesus, one thing that's interesting, you talked about empire and shalom, and that whole deal of why the kingdom of heaven was shalom, was peace, which was so different than empire. Even the early followers of Jesus thought, really what you need to do is you're going to create a whole new tribe that kicks tail over all the other tribes. So we want to kick Rome's tail. That's what we want. We desire that. And that's when Jesus is like, my kingdom's not of this world. So what he's saying is, hey, we're not here to run. We're here to do something totally different. So as individuals who follow Jesus, hopefully that comes out. We'd be more kind, more curious human beings. So I dig it. All right. We got baptisms. If you're watching this or joining us on a week that has been released, we got baptisms this weekend. We're excited about it. And if that's the next step, that would be great. You can sign up online. It's not too late to do that. You can also show up and just bring some gear. But sign up would be great. We'll prepare with you in mind. If you got a friend, awesome.
Always one of my favorite weekends.
It is. It'll be good.
Yeah,
I like it. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.